All right. Hey, I just wanted to check in because I finished another book, and that book is The Long Walk by Stephen King / Richard Bachman, depending on who you ask. If you didn't know, Richard Bachman is the pseudonym that Stephen King wrote a number of novels under. I think it was 5, back in the 80s, 70s, 80s, or whatever, and this was one of those. It's amazing. I'm just gonna say that right out the gate. It is. I really, really, really enjoyed this. It is short and sweet, but I took my time with this book, and I think that's part of where a lot of my enjoyment came from it. But anyways, let me get right into the premise of this book. The concept of The Long Walk is an actual long walk that is a yearly event where they take 100 young men. I think they're all under the age of 18, and all of these young men had applied to do this long walk, and they compete to be the one who walks the longest. Pretty good name. But there's a catch. The person who makes it the furthest gets a prize, anything they want, all the money in the world, pretty much. They're set for life, right? If they make it through this, only one person's going to make it through, and all 99 others are going to die. They are not going to make it to the end. They are going to die. And it is guaranteed that they will die because they have to maintain a speed of 4 miles per hour constantly while they're walking. They cannot dip below that. If they dip below it, they get a warning. 30 seconds later, they get a second warning. Another 30 seconds, third warning, another 30 seconds. You're shot and killed. The military has these little vehicles they're riding beside them on, and they're tracking their movement speed and everything like that. And whenever they hit that 4th warning, they're killed. And it is not always a quick, easy death for these kids. And it is pretty harrowing. It makes your gut turn a lot of the times, the way it's described on how some of these kids are going through it. But anyways, our main character's name is Ray Garrity, and we are in his mind the entire time. He is a 16-year-old kid with a girlfriend back home and his mom. And so it starts off with his mom dropping him off at this event. And right off the rip, Garrity starts making some friends, which I think it helped him in the long run. Maybe not mentally, but it did help him in the end, having friends on this adventure. But you can see how maybe it would be bad to have friends if you know you have to outlive all 99 of them. Ray Garrity is Maine's own. So he is the dude he's born and raised in Maine, and that's where The Long Walk starts, is in Maine. And throughout this book, it ends up going all the way to Boston, Massachusetts. That's how far Ray Garrity ends up walking by the end of this book. And this is going to be a full spoiler book, or a full spoiler review. It's short, and I really just want to talk about it. The first death that they actually see takes a lot of pages at the beginning. Not a lot, but it takes way more than these other deaths later on, because it shows you how accustomed and how used to it they kind of become. At one point, Garrity's just saying he hears gunshots. He doesn't even look back sometimes to see who bought their ticket, is how they phrase it. They buy their ticket when they die. So Ray Garrity has made a few friends. A couple of the ones that really stand out to me is a guy named McVries, or McVries, I don't know how to pronounce it. I really, really like him. He's his friend till the end of this book. He is a great dude who without him, Ray Garrity would not have been able to, spoilers, win this in the end. And one of the main reasons is earlier on, Ray Garrity helps him when he was going to possibly lose, going to die. And Ray Garrity helps him, and McVries ends up returning that favor a couple times. And I really like him as a character. I think he is excellently well written, and I really related to that McVries guy. I liked him a lot. He's probably my favorite character in this whole book. There's another character named Stebbins who he's a loner. He keeps to himself the whole time. He doesn't want any friends. He just is on his mission, and he ends up being the second person alive. Like he was second to Ray Garrity in winning. And actually, his death is the only death that actually bothered me, because he was going pretty steady and strong, and then he kind of just drops dead. And then the soldiers come over and shoot him anyway. That's how his little story ends, and I didn't like it very much. But McFreeze was, when he got tired, he said he was just going to sit down. And that's what he did in the end, and smiled at Garrity as he got shot in the head. And God, I love McFreeze. Sorry, I went back to McFreeze when I was trying to talk about Stebbins. But Stebbins ends up being a main character and a big focal point for Ray Garrity throughout a bunch of this book. Is he wants to outlast Stebbins. He doesn't want Stebbins to beat him. And there's another kid too, Barkovich. I can't remember his name. I think it's Barkovich. He's just an asshole. Everybody wants him dead. That kid cheers every time somebody dies. He says he's gonna dance on their graves. He's a dickhead. Nobody likes him. Everybody wants him gone. He lasts pretty long. I think he's in the top. He ends up being in like the top 15. So he's around for a long time, just kind of causing a little bit of headache for these extra headache for these guys. There's another guy named Scram who was actually married and had a kid on the way. I think he's still young though, but he was married and had a kid on the way, and everybody thought he's crazy for going and doing this while he was married and irresponsible. And now who's gonna raise his kid? He ends up. He was probably one of the top contenders to be able to make it, actually, though. He was doing really well, and then he got sick, and he was feverish, and it made it just super hard for him to continue. And that's what the theme is for a lot of these people, is they're doing well and something happens. One kid tripped over and hit his head, and he was just gushing blood the rest of as much as he could, but eventually that you can only do that so much, especially once you get some sort of brain hemorrhage or something, you're done. And so these kids aren't getting any breaks. They're walking 4 miles per hour constantly, no sleeping, nothing like that. They're eating and drinking off of their belts. They can call for a new canteen for water and things like that, but other than that, they're really on their own out there. So that's why they try to kind of develop these friendships, because human nature, you want to be banded together, and you may as well talk with people along the way, but really it hurts him a lot of the times. Olsen is another character I really, really liked in this book. He ended up kind of like going inside of himself, and he turned into just this like shell of a man. Nobody could communicate with him anymore. He wasn't talking to anybody. He was just gaunt. He looked like shit. He looked like he was death, and he had just retreated inside himself to escape the pain. And it's really, really, I love the way that Stephen King writes about stuff like that. It's just, he does it so well, and it really makes you feel for all of these kids here. Yeah, they got themselves into this. Throughout the book, they're kind of exploring why the hell they even decided to do it, when all of them knew it was pretty much suicide. But that's a topic that's discussed and explored amongst all of the different characters that Garrity goes up and talks to and gets to know. And a lot of it is you get to know these kids, and then these kids die. So it is a very up and down kind of little, mostly down, but little ups of emotions. And I really liked it for that. I thought it was done super well. I really liked the entire concept. I think it's super interesting of just, you got to keep walking. At one point, our main character, Ray Garrity, has to kick off his shoes. His shoes are fucked. And so he's walking barefoot towards the end of it, on pavement, on gravel. They got rain and thunderstorms coming in that they have to deal with. They got crowds of people cheering on the streets that, yeah, it might offer some motivation at the beginning, but a lot of the times these kids are not a fan of the crowds being around, and they'll flip off the crowds and things like that, and the crowds will cheer for them, and they're like, fuck, no matter what we do, these people are animals, essentially. There's one kid who tries to escape into the forest. His name was Percy. He tries to kind of like wait it out. He's kind of slowly moving his way towards the forest and darts in the forest, thinking the soldiers didn't see. They saw him. They shot him dead. Not all the shots on these kids are clean shots. Sometimes they're shot in the stomach and they are starting to bleed out before they die. It is a graphic, not a good way to go, not a good way to end your life being part of the long walk. But as I said, Ray Garrity does end up making it to the end. He outwalks every single 99 other kids. And and he makes it to the end, and that's it. I mean, we don't see what prize he wants. We don't see any of the resolution, and I really, really, really like it for that. I feel like if he would have wrote that in, it would have taken away from the feeling that you should be left with after reading this book. Because at the end, Ray Garrity doesn't even see the general guy who is there to say, "Hey, you won." He just keeps walking, and eventually he starts running at the very end. That's, I think, one of the last lines is he starts running. It fucks him up mentally, and I don't think any prize is going to be worth what he went through on these. I ended up taking place over, I think, 5 or 6 days or something like that they were walking 4 miles per hour constantly, and it's a crazy situation, and I absolutely love it. I absolutely adored this book. It took me 10 days to read this short book. I really, really took my time. I was reading other books in between, but I was taking my time with this because I wanted to read a little bit and think about what I was reading, think about how the implications of what that would actually be, and what it meant to have these friendships along the way, and what if it actually was a detriment or helpful to them. And it's really good. I highly, highly recommend this book. Even with the spoilers in mind, it is a very, very good book to read. I'm excited to go back and reread this one day already. I love it. I think I saw that there's going to be some sort of adaptation or something that is being worked on, of like a movie or something like that. I don't know if it'll be any good. I'm excited I'll probably end up watching it just because I really did enjoy this book so much. This is up there easily in my top 5 Stephen King novels. It's amazing. It's amazing. That's all I can say. I took a lot away from this, and I think most people would. It's a very emotional, it's an emotional roller coaster, and you really feel for all these kids. So anyways, that's the long walk, and yeah. I appreciate y'all for sticking around this long, and thanks.